Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be doing little tips and tricks when you have tight spots and removals in those tight spots. In this situation, I had two cherry trees in this area that I had to remove, and I quickly noticed, the two options given in this specific situation was to either climb and rig everything out or piece it out as small as possible, and then you're wasting a lot of time and energy, or do what I did here, which was with a throw ball, set up a rope on one end of the rope, which you can see on the left there. That's where I touched the block, and then the other end ran out to a porter wrap to hold it in place. And then I had another rope in the block, one end which was attached to the tree I'm removing, and the other end to the avant so I could get some pull. Then, as you can see, I made my open face notch towards the block, because ideally you would typically have the pole going towards the block, and then it would fall into it. So the closer that the rope is to the block, the more it'll hold and the less it will want to fall. Keeping in mind that when you do this, you need a high enough tie-in spot on the tree you're removing. That way it's butt end heavy, and that's another important thing. Make sure it's butt end heavy so it doesn't flip on you and just fall completely on you. As you can see here, I'm just cutting away at that hinge. Once it's propped up on its own, I can cut away the remaining holding wood, give it a solid kick, and it falls in place. I'm going to remove a piece here, understanding compression and tension. It's going to open at the front there, and so I make that undercut, and as you can see here, falls perfectly. It's nice and balanced. Now, since it's small enough, I can guide this out. I just tell them to put some slack on the other end of the avant there, and you'll see me guide it out nice and easy with very minimal damage to anything, if at all. I mean, you can see the neighboring trees were just fine. As you can see here in the middle on the top part of your screen, that's where the block was placed, and I just set that up with a throw ball like you normally would. Find a nice open crotch near the tree you're removing, run a rope through that tough enough crotch, and it's got to be something that can support the strain and the pull that you're going to be putting. And then on one end where you're going to be tying on the block, just put on a knot like a bowline. And then that middle rope, one end runs to the tree I'm rigging out, and the other end would run out to the avant. Typically when you do this also, like I had mentioned, your notch goes towards the block because that's where the pole would normally go. In this situation, I noticed that I had sideways poles, so just always watch for what the tree does and how it reacts. In this specific situation, I had to tell him to put a little more slack than normal, but it still worked out just fine. And last thing too to remember is before you pull anything out on your rigging rope, the rope that you had attached to the tree you were removing, make sure on either end you tie on a knot big enough that it doesn't go through the block, so that you will be able to have a side to pull down the block. Otherwise you're going to have to climb up, and the whole point is to not have to climb in this situation. So just remember, rigging rope on either end, do a knot so you can pull the block back down. Otherwise you're going to have a fun time going all the way up. Anyways, hopefully that helped, and thanks for watching.